All right, Kathleen, I'm so excited to be here in the shop today. Can you tell me about the shop? How long has it been here?
Sure.
What was your motivation for starting it?
Sure. Well, I'm
what's
thrilled
going
to be
on
here.
here?
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
We've been here 3 years. We're actually celebrating our 3-year anniversary this week.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. The original kind of focus and vision for the store came about in 2018, and the Farm Bill had just passed that legalized hemp farming. CBD was becoming more mainstream. And I wanted to create a place for people to come other than a dispensary or other than a vape shop where they could learn about CBD. I carry a bunch of different brands, including our own brand, and make it really kind of welcoming, informative space.
A retail space.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how, why was hemp farming illegal?
It goes back a ways, but basically there was an act in, I think it was the 20s, no more marijuana, no more anything that would get you high. So it was all drug related. Although hemp was actually something we were using for much more, including textiles, everything from sails and ropes and even Army uniforms. So it really is unfortunate that it got lumped together with marijuana, because marijuana and hemp are related, but they're not the same thing.
Yeah, it's like that bad reputation your mom always warned you about, right? It just
Exactly.
carried over for no reason.
Yep.
So I want to talk to you about your customers for a second. And a lot of different reasons I'm sure bring people to this same place, but do you notice any patterns? Like, who's a typical customer for you?
I would say they come in looking for one of three things. They're looking for help with pain and inflammation, sleep, and anxiety.
Well said. Well said. That's a lot.
And yeah, it's a lot, and they're all related.
Yeah,
A lot of times you can't sleep because you're anxious or you're in pain.
Yeah.
You're in pain, so you become, it's just.
Of the three, so pain and inflammation, let's put those together.
Yep.
I would put those together too.
Absolutely.
And then anxiety and then sleep. Which do you think CBD is the best for, or could you not really specify that?
I actually don't think it's one over the other. I think it works equally well for all three.
I think it is as a derivative of a natural compound, it's got such a calming and natural effect. It's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And it works with your body. We were built with an endocannabinoid system. So there's a reason that's there, and plants are there for a reason. And just like any other kind of plant healing or nutritional supplements that people may take, hemp-derived CBD and other cannabinoids within it work the same way with our body.
Yeah, it really is fascinating that until CBD was identified as a chemical compound, I don't think anybody knew that there was a receptor all over the place in the human body.
Right, thousands of them.
Thousands and probably millions and quadrillions, zillions of them. I don't know how many, but a lot. And no one had any idea that it was actually there to bind to this molecule.
Exactly.
That was occurring around us naturally.
Exactly.
That
Been
the
there
government
all along.
been there all along. When the government made it illegal, they kind of made a piece of us illegal.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
banned something that we either were evolved or created.
We were meant to have.
To be with.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of fascinating.
And now we're so much more empowered. There's a lot of people who want to look at things more naturally, more holistically, not rely necessarily on, big pharma, or, there's a lot of complications that can happen with those kind of medications. You start taking one, you need another one. So it's a nice option for us to have.
Well, one complication that I've dealt with a lot in my career is death.
Yeah.
I've had patients
the most
die.
extreme complication.
Yeah, for anything, but I mean, not an uncommon one, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people in my own practice who were being treated with pain management, who overdosed on narcotics.
Look at the opioid crisis.
Oh, it's
I
100.
mean,
I don't know. It's not even done peaking. 110,000 deaths this year.
Yeah.
every year is double the entire Vietnam War.
Oh,
I mean, it's just crazy. People don't realize.
it's tragic.
It's tragic. Do you
Yeah.
think that's part of what's driving this interest in, yeah, and yet we still have people in pain?
Right, right. Well, I do think, you know, there are studies and there are groups who have been looking at how you can treat stress, anxiety, pain more naturally, how you can address even weaning people off the opioids. It's been successful using CBD. So I think people are becoming more conscious of the relationship and the decisions they get to make with their body. And maybe not just defaulting to what we've all been told for so long. Now that we do have those options out there,
Yeah.
you know, my mom and dad were kind of like, "What? You're opening a CBD store? You know, isn't that a drug?" And so, it's really kind of educating and removing that stigma that oftentimes people have regarding marijuana or hemp-derived CBD.
Yeah, and I mean, I know you know this better than anyone, but of the the most common chemical agent in marijuana is THC,
Right.
which binds to a different set of receptors and does have a psychoactive component. And then there's CBD, which is the second most common molecule in marijuana, but has absolutely no psychoactive effect.
Exactly.
Has that been your experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the experience, and that's one of the biggest kind of educational talking points when customers come in. You know, helping them understand, you know, because they have this relationship to it. Either, you know, they tried it in high school or college and didn't like it, or they've heard stories about it, haven't tried it. So it's really just kind of opening their eyes to, you know, that it's more helping your body. It's much less of that psychoactive effect at all. It's not even existent. So it really can help. And, you know, once they kind of understand that, and once they use it, they're believers.
And what do they want to get out of it?
I think, you know, it's really just kind of addressing whatever those issues they would like to improve and doing it in a natural way. So having this option is, I think, really important for a lot of people.
You must have some people who come in and are excited about it and try it, and it's absolutely surpasses their expectations. And then you must have another group of people who try it and it just doesn't work, doesn't do anything for them. Is that true or not really?
I would say 98% of the people that come in here have a very, very positive result. And they get what they're looking for.
Yeah.
There are the, you know, maybe 2 to 3% that, oh, it didn't work, or, you know, I just didn't like it, but that's very rare. We've probably had 10 returns in the 3 years that I've been open.
Oh my goodness, good for you.
So that says a lot.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It really does. Well, tell me about forms. So there's gummies, there's a salve, a topical oil. What are the different forms someone could get it in?
So there's topicals, which are basically creams, lotions, salves that can be applied to specific areas of your body, shoulder, neck. You know, I always recommend those for isolated, specific areas of pain. Then there's the edibles, which are the gummies or the chocolate bars. You know, you could also include the tinctures, but that's more of a sublingual drop. So still through your mouth. But the most bioavailable method is actually smoking. So we do have flower. Not a lot of people that come in my store prefer that method.
Yeah.
So they prefer either the tinctures, the sublingual drops, the gummies, or even we have capsules and soft gels for maybe people that are used to taking more, you know, they have a regimen already of taking pills. That's more comfortable for them.
Right.
So what I tell people, whatever you're most comfortable with, you know, if the tincture makes sense, you're used to taking sublingual drops. If you prefer a gummy, it's more like a treat. You know, it's really personal preference. I do recommend, though, for pain and inflammation in certain areas, definitely the topical.
The topicals. Okay. All right, so once someone decides on the form that's right for them, how do they know the dose? How do they know how much of that form to take?
Right, so I always recommend, well, let's start with the topical. So that's a little different. I always recommend like a pea-size amount. Little goes a long way.
Right.
And then you can kind of go as needed. With the tinctures, the sublingual drops, or the gummies, or the soft gels, you're usually looking at, I always say start low, because we all, just like with any food or any kind of supplement, we all will react a little differently. We may have
Right.
different metabolisms, whatever it is. So when you think of milligrams, that's how they do it here. It's anywhere between like 10 and 15 milligrams. That's standard in the industry. Up to 25 milligrams, 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams per serving. So there's a pretty broad range.
Yeah.
But you want to start low
Okay.
and see how you do. So there's a lot of kind of self-exploratory, does this work? Does this work? And then you finally kind of find that sweet spot.
Yeah. I mean, that may sound intimidating to people, but it's no different than salting your food, right?
Exactly.
You sort of add it until
Right.
you get the effect you want, and then you
Perfect
hold off
example. Yeah.
and kind of season it the way that you feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. In all the years that you've been dispensing and selling CBD, have you seen any health problems? Have you seen any side effects?
I have not seen any negative side effects. I'm trying to think of anything. I do, like a lot of times I mention to people that some of the carrier oils in the tinctures are coconut. So I try to really be specific on what the ingredients are in addition to the CBD. So there's some people with allergies to coconut,
Right.
Or some of our chocolate bars, if there's nuts. So things like that, just to be aware of the full ingredient profile, I think
Right.
is important for people to know. There's also starting to be a lot of different botanicals that are included, whether it's chamomile, ginseng, whatever may help add to what the different cannabinoids are doing. You want to take a look at that as well.
Yeah, you can be allergic to something, but it's clearly safe from a user's point of view. No one's had a heart attack. No one's had a stroke.
I can't necessarily claim that based on my experience.
Well, but based on your knowledge,
yeah,
based on your knowledge
based on
of
my
it.
knowledge, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I certainly can't tell you that the medical literature that exists would support that it's an entirely safe compound. And I think that's one of the things that makes people so excited about it, is its toxicity profile, unlike most of the drugs that we use, is so favorable.
Well, and you bring up a good point. I think it's also important for people to know that it's a very saturated industry, and there's a lot of products out there. And the one thing you definitely want to look for when you're purchasing CBD is that it does have the lab testing results, third-party lab testing. They're called certificates of analysis. Any reputable company will have those on their website. A lot of companies now are putting the QR code on the different bottles or the packaging.
Do you have it on these?
Yep.
Can you show me?
Every single product has that. So this is a QR code for these gummies. You click that, go straight to the website.
And if it doesn't have that, don't buy it.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're
there's
getting.
not transparency. Maybe
Right.
they've done it, but maybe they haven't taken those steps. There's a lot of steps that you should be taking as a, either manufacturer or retailer of CBD, and we're both. So, you want to make sure you're being fully compliant
Right.
and transparent with the consumer.
Right. Well, the entire supplement industry suffers from these same issues.
Yeah.
Turmeric, curcumin,
Exactly.
everything.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so knowing that there's a way we can verify that we're actually getting the compound we're buying and want to be titrating is, I think, extremely comforting. So thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what's it called? It's called Verified?
This is a QR code, so
Yeah.
this became very popular.
But you said the lab is...
It's third-party lab tested.
Third-party
and
lab
it's
tested.
also known as a COA, which is Certificate of Analysis.
Yeah.
So those are just two really important things. I mean, it's the same things, just interchangeable ways of talking about it.
All right, can we talk about you?
Sure.
I'm just so curious. This store is beautiful.
Thank you.
It is a very advanced, in my mind, very advanced retail environment. You've got all kinds. I think if my wife wandered in here, I might not see her again for the rest of the day. This is
Bring her in.
Yeah, everything in here is beautiful. What were you doing before this?
So before this, I had a branding agency, so design, marketing, brand storytelling. So I was a designer at heart and had an agency in New York City. However, I am a Phoenix native.
Oh, where'd you go to high school?
So Xavier.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Saw that one coming.
My sisters went there, so.
So Yeah, I grew up here, went to New York, came back, relocated about 10 years ago, relocated my business, a small boutique firm. And how I got into this world of cannabis is we had a client that was a medical marijuana dispensary.
Ah, okay.
And we were brought in to rebrand them to increase their valuation to be acquired.
I see.
So after that experience, it opened my world to cannabis, specifically CBD, and it was the perfect convergence of timing because that's right when the hemp farm bill was passed, and Arizona went medical marijuana.
So this was like 2019.
18. Yeah.
2018.
And 17 is when I had the client.
I see. So
and then I shut my doors on the brand agency and opened this.
Oh, fascinating. And what do you think made it so attractive to you, CBD? Was it, I mean, there's a lot of compounds that people are looking at now that may or may not have great therapeutic value. People are exploring and learning about. What was it about CBD that was so attractive?
Well, I always have resonated and been attracted to holistic healing, plant-based therapy, studied aromatherapy, energy healing, Reiki, go to acupuncture once a week. So to me, any kind of natural supplement is going to resonate.
Right.
Specifically during that time, for the first time in my life, I had major pain in my hip, and I was turning 50, and all of a sudden, osteoarthritis, bursitis, tendonitis. I even had a torn labrum in my hip.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, and they were saying I needed surgery.
Right.
So I didn't want to do surgery, and I happened to have the tools right there that the universe had provided. I knew about CBD, and I started using it. And to this day, I never needed surgery. And it has reduced the pain and the inflammation significantly. And ever since then, whether it was my mom going through cancer, or my dad with his back surgery, friends needing it for their kids, whatever it was working.
Right.
So I became a believer.
Yeah, yeah. So the need arose and the knowledge was there, and they just happened to, the universe just sort of coalesced around you. And here we are in this beautiful store. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's really been a pleasure to meet you and talk to you today. Thanks very much for the interview.
I appreciate it, Dan. My pleasure.
You got it. Talk to you soon.